Morning, everybody. How we doing today? I gotta take a little deviation from what I was working on with Miles right now. We need to talk about something a little more current. And if I get emotional, I apologize. But in Minneapolis, a city that's been my home for 30 years, a black man was killed by 4 cops. And the guy was pleading, saying he couldn't breathe. And in custody, one of the cops kneeled on the guy's neck and he died. And initially, the media reported a bunch of falsities about his behavior and resisting arrest, and that only one cop was subduing him. But someone on the scene filmed it. The footage got out all over Facebook, and just the inhumanity and the lack of empathy for a human suffocating a guy. And his only crime had been possibly being intoxicated in public. But I am pretty closely involved with the black community in Minneapolis, DJing with them for years. And my Facebook feed last night was just, it's hard to talk about. The pain. This is why this music exists. You know, I saw a dear friend of mine, Carla, mother in her 50s, a couple grown black kids, and she's talking about the deaths of young black men. And at first I thought she was talking about COVID, and as I kept scrolling, I realized what she was referring to: the fear black mothers have of their sons being killed, going to jail. But being killed is obviously the ultimate fear. And I've said before, a white mother tells their kids, "Jimmy, don't forget your mittens." A black mother says, "Malcolm, don't forget to say yes sir, no sir to the cop." This guy was coming out of a grocery store, a local kind of a neighborhood store at that, and someone reported him being drunk, and the police showed up, and you don't know what's in those guys' hearts, you know. Initially there were reports that this guy had passed a bad check, and that ended up being not the case. And it's sad how much the mainstream media is willing to whitewash what's going on and try to make it seem justifiable. And I don't know. I'm kind of emotional right now. All my friends up there, I of course moved out of the city last year to buy this place. I'm about an hour away now. But my old neighborhood, there was riots last night. Tear gas. Protests that started out peacefully as a memorial. The cops showed up with tear gas. And the first-hand accounts from my friends, and I'm talking hundreds of people that I know were there, and how the reports from these people firsthand versus what the mainstream media tells us, it's such a night and day difference. And that's when you stop believing in the authority. That's when you stop believing in the media, when the lies become so evident, and when there's no justice, when there's no mercy. And God knows if a cop had killed a dog, the protest by white people would be out of this world. I wish I'd taken some more of the photo stills off of Facebook last night, because the censors have already cleaned up and edited a lot of it. I went through this morning my feed and found a bunch of photos from people, but a lot of the actual photos of the incident are already gone, being whitewashed. However, this footage did come out of what actually really happened, and it led the Minneapolis mayor to fire the 4 cops that were in the incident. And for most people, that's not nearly enough. Murder indictments should be handed down. And again, I know so many of these people. I've seen some of the interviews on TV with leaders of the black community. I know all those people. I hear the mothers plea and their cry on their Facebook feeds, praying that their kids don't ever have to see that day. And here we are in 2020, and this reality is still so stark and still ever present. And we wonder what makes jazz have its engine, where its fuel comes from. And anybody who wants to debate me and say, oh, it's a lot about their playing and it's just music, it's not. The music is a solace, it's a band-aid, it's a medicine for hearts that ache, for the fear. I don't think people around the world can really grasp the condition that exists in America. White people have been out protesting the stay-at-home orders. And white people can protest with arms, with just assault rifles and machine guns. And the cops will kind of stand by and say it's their right. Armed white protesters are allowed to do their thing. Blacks can protest peacefully and unarmed and be treated with barrage of tear gas and rubber bullets, incendiary devices. There was these sound cannons that went off to scare people. My old neighborhood was in flames last night. And this is not how it's supposed to be. This is 2020. And so for those people out there who want to argue with me at times that jazz music isn't an emoting from their soul about their condition and experience in the black community in the white America, I'm going to dismiss you guys out of hand. The terror, the fear, the pleading with God to protect their loved ones, black bodies swinging in the summer breeze, strange fruit. If you don't think Billy and Lewis weren't being informed by a great sorrow, you need to clean your ears. To see my friends masked up because of the virus, out protesting and to be treated like less than humans. To see post after post after post on my feed. Remember, I have over 1,000 black Minneapolis, Twin City folks on my Facebook from my days DJing, and the feed and their reactions. It's not one of militancy. There is some anger, but it's more fear. It's more being backed into a corner. You can't kill one of ours, and this guy wasn't some foaming at the mouth crackhead. He sounds like he had a few drinks, but he's a productive member of society. I know some of his relatives. I've probably even met him. I'm not sure, but I just can't at times get my head around it. And so when Billy says strange fruit, you gotta feel the terror. When Art Blakey says, let's tell it like it is, Wayne Shorter composed it, Timmons, Morgan, Merritt, and Blakey. There's no way this music cannot be about the experience of being black in a white world. I struggle with this because I'm close friends with a lot of these people. And for the most part, these people have a voice that's not heard. They have there's still such an oppression and a censorship, and they're not really allowed to say how they feel. Anything that's posted or shared that could be deemed as controversial, it just gets taken down. And like I said, I can't believe how much my Facebook feed today have been cleaned up from yesterday. There was all kinds of photos of what had happened. The guy on the ground pleading for his life, saying, "I can't breathe." As a police officer, you're there to protect. It's a little bit beyond my heart. I can't take it sometimes, you know. I just can't take it sometimes. And it's good the cops got fired, and they probably need to get indicted just to have some civil rest. But the track record of indicting white cops for killing blacks in this country, most don't get indicted. And of the percent that do, very few get convicted. Very few. Most of them get thrown out before they even go to trial. There's lots of reasons and alibis for why you had to kill yourself a black man last night. They can dig up some evidence, plant some ugly, and it's exactly what they do. It's exactly what they do. And so when you hear Abby Lincoln insisting freedom now, do you think it's just for fun? Do you think it's just to raise a few eyebrows? To be controversial? Or is there a sincere desperation and pain that's behind this music? It's just so difficult for me. And I'm actually curious to hear from you people around the world. What are you hearing about this incident? You know what I mean? What are they telling you? I'm curious to know. But from Armstrong to Holiday to Max Roach to Art Blakey to Coltrane to Archie Shepp and the free jazz movement, the Black American is speaking about his experience. And I've had so many people try to tell me, oh, you're kind of reading into it, you're projecting. And I'm going to counter that by saying, if you don't hear the sorrow, the pain, the tyranny, the anger, the frustration, you might want to check your own little racist heartbeat. America, shame on you. America, your judgment is coming. You can't hold a rope to a man's neck for centuries and not have a great day of reckoning. There's no justification for so many of your actions. the average white American's so disconnected from the black community that their only response to tyranny in the black community is they think it's justified because they're afraid of them. They're taught to be afraid. They're taught they're all criminals and rapists and murderers and animals. And they're kept so separated and divided that there's no chance to interact, even today, especially if you live out here in rural America. If you're in the inner city, black and white commingle, and there was as many white protesters yesterday at those rallies as there was black. Again, hundreds of my friends, black and white, were there last night. If you live in rural America, what you know about the city is what you see on TV. And a lot of the people here are afraid to even go to the city. They're afraid to even step foot. Lest the black man look at their daughter or robs them. I got relatives on my wife's side that the fear in them is so tangible. They're very rural people, and they grow up on the TV and all they see is blacks in such a negative light. And hip-hop and soul music and other forms of black art have often spoke about this experience, but I don't care. All the Chuck D and Rakim KRS-One in the world can't quite say what a man can speak into his instrument, what a soul can say through his horn. If you don't feel that anxiety-filled, fed-up fear, exhaustion that's pouring into the horn saying, help us find a way out, Creator. What have we done to deserve this? I find myself going between tears and anger. So many people I love and respect and have spoken with and interacted with for years. At a moment's notice, they can be turned into a corpse. In a moment's notice, the light can change to dark. And all the good they've done, all the responsibilities they have, all their loved ones will lose that person. And it propels the divide in this country that keeps us where we are. To see my old neighborhood and see my friends out in the street, to see some of their posts. America hasn't changed. And in starts and stops, we make progress and we stitch together the torn fabric. But there's an institution in this nation that's governed by the elite that needs the masses divided, and race is the most convenient tool. It's the easiest way to prevent the 95% having solidarity. In a democracy, solidarity, unity is a powerful thing. Change is only as viable as the unity you can create across the aisles. Politically, socially, racially, religiously, you need to stitch together various groups to create consensus to make change. And without change, without unity, the status quo remains, and it has for centuries. So that privilege you live in, white America, Judgment Day is coming. The exhaustion you live in, black America, someday there'll be a vindication. And someday the meek will rule the world. Someday you guys will be on top. I'm done. I'm out. That's all I got today. I can't even do more. I just say a prayer for everybody. Whoever you believe in, whatever creator you think is appeal to their nature. And let's hope we can have a better tomorrow. Y'all be safe. Peace.